Hello, this is my review of the 12 blade 64mm EDF I got off Hobbyking, which is actually a Changesun. You can just see it there. Oh well, my review's not that sure about this fan, because it's kind of, not sure, a bit difficult to use properly, because it, being a 12 blade fan, it draws quite a lot of, well, not so much draws a lot of current, but it requires a lot of power to run it, and I don't know, it's a bit weird that it's a 64mm fan that requires a lot of power, and yet they've given it only a 20mm hole to fit a motor. I mean, there would be more than enough room if they made it so it did fit a 28mm motor. I don't know. Doesn't give you a lot of motor options really. I did have this motor here, which you see by the extended shaft. It had one of those standoff mount things for an EDF. I got this and another motor off eBay. I'm not sure what brand it is. It was just something I saw. It's unbranded, it didn't have any name, so I can't let you know what it was. But they do seem pretty good. This one is what was it, 3800 kV, and I tried that in this fan first on 3-cell, and it, what was it, put out 850 grams of thrust, but about, it was nearly 60 amps, it was like 57 amps or something on 3-cell. So it's quite a high, current to draw. And I've also got this other fan, which is just your normal 5-blade fan. This came with the, was it L39 Albatross kit. This was just the fan that was supplied with it, and it's a bit flimsy. And I had another one of those motors. This one's 4200 kV, and I fitted this one in this 5-blade fan, and it basically puts out the same amount of thrust as this. You just say, a 5-blade fan against a 12-blade fan, and it put out the same amount of thrust. This was only at about 46 amps, I think, so it's not too bad. I was actually pretty impressed with this little fan. It was only on 3-cell, 4200 kV, and it put out 850 grams of thrust. So it's, I was pretty impressed with that. I don't know whether to try it on 4-cell or not. I mean, there was no specs supplied with these motors, so I don't know what power they can take. I've got no idea. They got a 3.175 shaft, and they're about 29mm in diameter. They're actually, not 28, they're 29. So go and buy specs of other motors like on Hobbyking. I was just sort of guessing what the power would be, and I think it can actually take more than I thought, because even this one running at 57 amps of that, it didn't get too hot. So it seemed alright. It seemed it would run it, but you could tell when it was running this one, it just didn't have the torque to run it. It was, you could hear it spinning up, and then it would just sort of drone out. You could hear it didn't have the torque. I think the suggested motors for this 12 blade one is 3300 kV on 3 cell, and I think it's 2800 kV I think it is on 4 cell. But even then, I don't, you know, I mean, that's going to be, I still don't think that would have the torque to run it at a decent power level. I don't know if anyone's seen other motors, well, other fans of this type with a, you know, about 3900 kV or 4000 kV on 4 cell. They're supposed to put out over a kilo of thrust just on a 5 blade. So that's my thoughts on that. So I couldn't really find any motors that would work with this. Even the ones on Hobbyking that have the standoff mount that would fit in the fan, that goes down to 20mm to fit in it, still doesn't have enough power or be able to take the current that it would draw. So I had an idea to try and make something myself. So because I'm thinking of putting this in my T45 Goshawk, possibly. I was going to put a different fan in there. It was a 68mm fan on a 4400 kV motor. You might have seen one of my tests when I done the Hobbyking EDF tests. I was going to put the 68mm fan one in there, but it would mean a bit of carving out and whatnot, and that was still quite a high current draw. It was like 60 amps, and I just wanted something that would be a bit more better for that plane, that would power it, you know, really decent amount of power, but would draw less current to give you more efficiency, like give you a longer flight time. So I came up with this idea. I took the standoff mount that extends inside the fan, allows it to go down to 20mm. I took that off of this motor and knocked the bearing out the front, put a 4mm bearing in it, and got what was it, an NTM rotor drive heli motor, 450 series, the 1700 kV motor, and this motor is rated up to 6S. So, you know, it's got a lot more torque. Ooh, that's a battery charged. I'm going to test this soon, and it's pretty good. I have sort of tested it roughly. I don't think I've tested it on fully charged battery yet. That's why I'm just charging up the battery now to give it a test. And yeah, I've got it running alright. These fans though, they just don't quite turn that true. I think it's the actual centre hub of the fan isn't quite straight. I don't know if you can see, it's got a slight wobble on it, but I managed to get it running alright. The actual blades, some of them are actually too long and it barely fit inside this, and you had to trim, I had to trim some of the blades off so it actually would fit in. You might be able to see there's a lot of scuffing there where it was hitting the sides. And also the other problem with this fan is it supplies it with a collet adapter, not a grub screw adapter. So, you know, when it's alright when you've got a collet adapter on a propeller, because you can normally hold it while you do it up, and you know, it allows it to lock on, but it's really difficult to get a collet adapter to lock on an EDF. I couldn't get it to you do it up, and if you hold it by the fan, you do it up, it would slip and the motor would turn, and you couldn't get it to work. If you hold it by the motor, you turn that, the fan would turn and it would still slip. So in the end I had to sort of put a cloth around that and then hold that in a vise, then hold the fan blade, and then do it up. And I managed to nip it up enough so it'll work, because I was running it up and the actual fan blades, the collet adapter was slipping and then it was coming off. Luckily it didn't fly off, I managed to stop it before. So it slips. I think other people have found that happens, is it with the high power setup, it slips and starts to come off, because it sounds alright and then it starts going where it's going out like a wobble, and because it's coming off. So yeah, not too good. The obviously I had to fit this motor with a longer shaft. It's got a 4mm internal bearing in this motor, but then because it's a Henny motor, for some reason it goes down to 3.5mm, so that obviously isn't going to work. But I managed to get the longest shaft I could find was a 72mm shaft. I'm not sure what motor that was for. They're listed in their motor parts on Hobbyking. It was 72mm, and it sort of wasn't quite long enough. I managed to get a couple more millimeters length by not pushing that a little bit further through, but it still does up on the grub screw that's in there. It still does it up enough, and it sort of goes on. The collet doesn't seat all the way on, but it's enough. I had to put a couple of washers behind it to stop the fan from, when you do it up, otherwise it clamps down on the bolts that hold the motor in, and it locks up. So it was really difficult. It took me, I don't know, I was working on it now and again, just trying to get it work, and it's taken me days to get it to work properly. But yeah, this motor is rated to 6S, 42 amps, 930 watts this motor is rated to. It's only 1700 kV though, so it should have plenty of torque. I doubt it would pull those sorts of numbers, but that's what you want, is you want it to draw less current but still put out a decent amount of thrust. And I'll stick this on the test rig and we give it a run up with a fully charged 6S battery, see what sort of thrust we get and what sort of power draw it is, and see if this works out pretty good. Right, back in one moment. Right, got it on my new little EDF test rig. Hopefully going to be making some sort of different brackets that allow me to fit other ducted fans on. I've just mocked out a couple of bits of aluminium just to fit this one on. Hopefully going to make something a bit more universal. I can sort of have something that slides about and then you do it up, and hopefully make it a bit more manageable for fitting other fans. Right, so I've got ESC is upside down, Hobbyking 50 amp ESC rated for 6S, and battery's not a small one, I'm not skimping on it. It's a 2700 milliamp, it's only 25C. I thought it's not going to be drawing much current, don't need a high C battery really. And that's 6S, you see there, it's pretty much charged. So let's see what we get on the thrust numbers. That's not bad. 21.19, the volt drop, 32, so basically 33 amps, 715 watts. So with over 1100 grams of thrust. That's sort of pretty economic really, with the amount of thrust for a 64mm fan compared to the current draw. Let's have another run. It's weird, isn't it? It's sort of, it's picks up after it's been running on full throttle for a little while. Doesn't just go to full throttle, it sort of picks up, which allows me to believe that, or leads me to believe rather, that even that is struggling to turn that fan. It sort of takes a while for it to pick up the RPM. So I don't know what sort of beast of a motor they're thinking is going to be able to fit in that when it's only got a 20mm motor centre section. It's kind of ridiculous. But I mean, I think that's a pretty good setup, to be honest. I've seen other people stick powerful motors in these, but they draw 60-70 amps or something ridiculous, and you know, that's not going to give you much of a flight time. That was the whole point, was to make something that's a bit more economical on the current draw, so you can have a lot more fun in the air, longer flight time with similar amount of thrust. Right, that's my test of the 12 blade 64mm fan, Changesun fan from Hobbyking. If you want to know a bit more about this setup, shoot me a message and I'll let you know how I've done this. And yeah, it's pretty good, that is. I think that's a pretty good setup. I know the battery will be a bit heavier being a 6S, but still, yeah, just to get the CG right, it should work out good. Right, thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. See a lot more tests of this sort. Thank you very much. Bye bye.